You're watching The Perspective. I'm Florence Armain, and we're still talking to Emily Subrata. Emily, economic policy, entering Chapter 6. The government is today. They'll be on Thursday. They'll be November 5th, issuing the 6th chapter. Now, many of these regulations are aimed at boosting the economy, of course, with specific regulations on specific industries. One that I would like to point out is on tourism industry. The fact that the government wants to boost labor-intensive industries and hospitality. Your unemployment is quite high there. Now, but at the same time, there are also regulations outside of these packages that contradicts the government's current policy. We want people to come in, but at the same time, there are these constraints like the boost tax for alcohol, for instance.
Which is an incredible rate now.
Yes, we the first thing that came into my mind was like, Bali's going to be hit with this.
Absolutely.
Because that's how they make money. One of the highest revenue point there. What are your views on that?
That's incredibly frustrating. It's truly one word. It's frustrating because when you say one thing and then you promise one thing and then something else is delivered, I mean the exact opposite is delivered, you don't really know how to react and how to play the game, you know. And of course, absolutely, you're right. You know, Bali is hardest hit when it comes to the alcohol tax. I mean, not just alcohol tax; it's all import tax.
Yeah.
While we try hardest to use everything that is locally sourced because it's better, fresher, there are some things that you can't avoid because Indonesia doesn't produce it, or Indonesia doesn't produce it well enough, such as wine and other types of alcohol. And you know, it's just, I gotta come back to that word. It's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. I don't even know what else to say, you know, because you are trying to increase exposure and of course at the end of the day revenue, the bottom line, not just for yourself or for your staff, but also for the country that you're operating in. And when we don't necessarily get the support that we need, then we can't support them back because we are taxed quite high as well, of course, the business. But you know, we don't feel like we're getting as much support as we should. So I do hope that there will be some maybe amendments and changes or some cut us some slack.
Or at least regulations that does not contradict one or the other.
Absolutely.
Or overlapping regulations that just kills the industry. But in your perspective, though, what kind of move or policy by the government that the government should look into that can help boost hospitality industry, or at least make it more of a sustainable business in the coming, or reach its target? At least, the very least, to reach the target number of tourists that they want to see.
I think, look, the dream is still having free visa access for Australians, of course, because Australia is our closest neighbour. They are very independent and very confident travelling in Indonesia, and I think clearing the bureaucracy, easy for me to say, of course, would be, very helpful. But just like you said, not having contradicting regulations would help very much. So we know exactly, what are the boundaries and the rules that we're playing in. And I think assistance from such as the US dollar, Indonesian rupiah debacle, assistance from Bank Indonesia, assistance provided to the Hotel and Restaurants Association of Indonesia, PHRI, keeping us in the loop and getting us into discussions, because we're open. Hotels are flexible. That's the business that we're in. So to be able to be more involved is ideal.
At least to participate in the process of decision making before they actually come to finalize any regulations. What about the associations, PHRI, in this matter? Are they helping to facilitate this? Or what are their role? What's their main role in trying to mitigate this mess of communication within the industry and the government?
I think it's quite a hardworking association. Of course, you know, hotels and restaurants are so many in Indonesia, and this is such a large country anyway, and they represent everybody. And you know, everybody wants different things, but so they're sort of like the parent and saying, okay, now we focus on this, now we focus on this. I think, you know, without them, it'll be shambles. And so we're very lucky to have a strong PHRI, the strong association that the government needs to sort of say, okay, let's acknowledge their role, truly understand that they are at the forefront of the labor-intensive industry, and they are at the forefront of how we can increase revenue. How we can attract more people to be interested in Indonesia. Indonesia is a huge player, but we need to believe in ourselves. And that's one of the ways.
Okay. And when we come back, we'll still be talking about Sudamala Resorts with Emily Subrata right here on The Perspective.